Hey everyone, it's Jim
And Charles
from Mellow Amps. And after a fairly stressful job of making sure we got the RCA jacks in properly, how about we have a nice relaxing episode and chill out? So now that we've got the jacks in, we can safely install our R5s. So let's have a look at our parts list and see what value R5 is. And it's 47K, and in fact the 47K is the load resistor. Now we're going to spend some time a little later in the build and we'll go over the circuit in detail after you've put the components on, and it'll start to make a lot more sense at that point. Okay, so we've already cleared these resistors on our ohm meter.
And these should be the last 1 watt resistors that you have.
They don't want to go in, Charles. They must obey.
So these should go in just like the other 1 watt resistors. I guess we'll show you one of them here and then you can take care of both.
Yeah, we're just warming up for the day. And in fact, the last few episodes I goofed up calling out the heat temperatures. Part of the reason for that is both Charles and I are very experienced on our bench, so we tend to solder much hotter than somebody who's a little less experienced because we can move fast. So we tend to call out temperatures for kit builders that are quite a bit lower that will work just fine. It'll mean that you have a little bit more time to work before you destroy the pad or the component or damage something. So I don't think we've had components that were matched yet. A really good practice is to put the banding all facing in the same direction. When you come to troubleshoot and you want to say, I'm not sure if I got the right resistor onto R5s, you'll see the banding is in the same orientation. It makes it a lot easier to figure out what's what. I learned that the hard way, of course. In fact, we learned everything the hard way, so we can show you how not to do things. Anyways, everybody knows how to get these into place. So go ahead and solder them on. We're going to work at my center temperature, which is 360 C, 680 Fahrenheit. And as usual, if your solder is not quite flowing fast enough, turn up your temperature a little bit, and if your solder is flowing way too fast and it's basically flowing out of the joint or off the pad, turn down your temperature just a little bit. Small adjustments normally are all you need. You don't want to make huge changes right away. You can always make a further change if necessary. Okay, I'll see you back in a second.
Okay, so we just installed our 2 R5 resistors. They should be installed just like that. And now we're going to move on to one of the smallest things that we're going to put onto our PCB, and that is all of these little jumpers right here.
There's 4 of the small ones. They're all on ground return paths.
And we put them there because we weren't sure what was going to be the optimal way to do the grounding, and it turns out having them all in works the best. So you're going to want to grab your thin, solid wire here. You should have 2 different sizes. This is the thinner of the 2.
Yeah,
it's pretty obvious which one is thicker.
It's a 20. Yeah, the small one's a 22 gauge bare bus wire, or tinned bus wire is correctly how you call it.
And I'll show you how to do the bend to get it in here. What we're going to do is start off with our needle nose pliers. We're going to put a fairly short bend on one edge, just like that. And then I'm going to come into the board here, and I'm going to measure it to where I need to do the next bend. Let me get that on screen, and then I'll bend it up from there. So you should end up with essentially a little staple. And it doesn't have to be perfect, just close. We can do a little bit of wiggling to get it to fit. And then we're going to snip this off and drop it in there. Take your time with this. They can be a little bit finicky working with small pieces of wire.
Yeah, and a lot of people think of the ground return path or the 0 volt line as, being something secondary and not very important. But the current actually flows on the ground return path.
It's actually the reverse of how most people think about electronic circuits, but it's been done that way for so long that it's just how people do things. So there we go. So we have our little jumper in. Let's take a look at the other side. We have a couple of little leads poking through. That's good. And we're going to go ahead and solder this at a little bit of a lower temperature here. I'm thinking probably about 350 Celsius.
350 C is 660 Fahrenheit.
So as usual, we're going to get a little bit of flux on there and make sure we have a nice clean tip.
We're going to need the tiniest little bit of flux. And you might notice that Charles is soldering from the top down. And
it's just easier to do on these guys.
Yeah, so there's no need to bend the lead over on the backside. You just start on the top. Sometimes you can get away with that.
There we go, and on. And this can sometimes be just a little bit tricky because the ground return path has a fair amount of thermal mass to it, but there we go.
Okay, let's flip over and see if you had good flow through. These connections, we would want to have the pad on both sides covered.
Yeah, so there we go. If you take a look right here, we've got a nice rounded ball on those leads, and we can do a nice job of trimming those up. Be careful about these flying around. And there we go. So go ahead and do the same thing for each of these small jumpers right here. And whenever you're done, we'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so you should have each one of these little jumpers installed just like this, with the back leads cleaned up and snipped fairly short.
Now we've got something slightly more challenging. We've got
the thick jumpers.
Yeah, so this bit of bare tin bus wire is 16 gauge, so it's nice and heavy. You might say, what the heck are you using with 16 gauge? And of course,
if you look where the big traces are on the board,
you'll see why. And the filaments of the 6A-S7 6080 draw a lot of current.
So if we don't want to drop that voltage, we need thick wires and thick traces.
Yeah, that's the one weakness of DC, is that it doesn't like to go any distance without a voltage loss.
Okay, so we're going to install these in this jumper spot and this jumper spot right here. And this is going to work the same way as here, but we have to be even more careful with it. We have to do a very hard 90-degree bend on it and try to be as careful as possible with the sizing. So I'm going to get that started. And I come in here and get a very tight, no, that's not quite 90 degrees. So I'm going to come back in, take a look at that. So that's good for that size. And then I'm going to measure it just like before.
The tricky part about putting these bends in heavier gauge wire is that you've got to anticipate the extra room you need for that tight corner.
So you see here how I'm clamping it a little bit further back from where that hole is, because I know that the bend is going to need a bit more room to get around. Oh. Right about there. And then I'm going to do another hard bend over. Something like that.
Okay.
And let's give that a snip and see how it fits. This might need a little bit of tweaking to get it in there, but let's see. I'll try and do this on camera as well. Okay, we're a little bit short, so actually I made it a little too tight. So I'm going to come back in with the pliers and just give it a little bit of an adjustment.
We do everything on live TV basically, so that you can get a sense of what's tricky and what to watch out for. And sometimes you have a free laugh at our expense. So
there we go. So that's starting to go in here. And if it doesn't sit down all the way, what you can do, I'm going to give it just a little bit more of an adjustment.
Now once it's going in, you can set it with pliers because it is so stiff.
I'm going to come in and I'm going to squeeze it to the board just like that. Although, look what I've done. Alright, that's going to come back out. And we're going to give it a little bit of an adjustment.
I think by rights we should be using the bigger pliers, Charles.
Probably, but I'm going to come in here and do it with the, there we go, the thicker edge of it there. Let's get that in focus.
Okay, why don't we just solder that on? I think everybody knows what they're doing now.
And this is going to need a little bit more heat, of course, so I'm going to bring it up to, I'm going to say 370 C.
I would think so, and that's about 690 Fahrenheit.
Again, bigger traces, bigger thermal mass, more heat required. It's something you should always be thinking about whenever you're doing your soldering is how big is the thing I'm trying to attach, and how big is the thing I'm trying to attach it to.
You're starting to sound like a philosopher.
There we go, and we could use a little bit of a touch-up on this edge, so I'm just going to come in. It's actually not bad, but it's always good to make sure.
And you could even do this one, actually.
Just a little bit more.
Just melting the solder, actually, that had come through made a better connection.
Okay, so there we go. So we'll go ahead and trim these leads in a second, and you should as well, and then take care of the other one, and we'll see you back here in a minute. Okay, so this is how your jumper should look over here. Nice and tight to the board, good solder flow through. And we're going to do one more thing in this episode here. It's a small piece, and it's a little delicate, and it's in this back corner. So we're going to go ahead and take off our build stand and move it out of the way.
That's one of the reasons why we love these build stands, because you can shift them around. And this is a 3-pin connector for the fan. This brings the fan wire that we were orienting earlier in the build to the board. And we actually goofed up the board screen printing.
The one mistake I made.
Yeah, that's not bad. If you do a board for the first generation board and there's only one screen printing error, then you're doing good. So we've actually put a black mark to indicate that
the side with the key on it.
Yeah, so that's the key here, that black tab. So it's going to go on like this. And we're going to show you a trick, because the pins are really close together and you don't want to muck this up. So Charles is going to put a finger on this and flip it over.
There we are.
And I'm just going to put the tiniest little bit of flux in here.
And if you have a smaller chisel tip, it would be great to use for this. You can use a bigger one if you're careful and experienced, though.
Yeah, this is the limit for this kind of work. Now I'm just holding it by the piece of plastic here. And Charles is actually going to move the board back for me and get it in the right position.
If you don't have an extra set of hands, you could also use an alligator clip to do the same thing I'm doing right now, although it's a little less exact.
Now, so what you want to do is basically preload the solder that you're going to be putting on the pins onto your tip. And then you're going to come along and you're just going to tack it on fairly quickly. See how the solder just flowed right onto the pad? Now I'm not going to do the middle one right away. I'm going to come over here to the last one. And I didn't have enough solder preloaded. So let's get a little bit more on there. Oh, and we've turned our iron down, way down, because this is a very small job. And so we're at 350 C, which is, I can't see because our tools are in
660 Fahrenheit.
Okay, now before we go any further, let's flip it over and see if it's vertical.
Okay. And
it doesn't have to be perfect.
We're off on a little bit of an angle.
But we'll show you how to fix that. So Charles knows which way to bend it.
So I'm going to press on it and pull it or push it slightly in the direction we want it to go. And there we go. Let's take a look. That's a whole lot better.
Yeah. Now, sometimes during the build, you might find it's handy to have a helper come in. we can do the entire build ourselves on our own, so you probably can figure out yourself. But often, if you've got a partner who's a willing assistant, you can get them in to just hold something for a moment. Take the time to show them what you want them to do, though. Don't presume that they can figure it out. Okay, so...
And don't burn your helper, or they won't help you again.
Yeah, you do the dangerous or tricky stuff. Okay, so one more time, the third one in the middle, and we're just going to tap it here. And as soon as the solder flows onto the pad, we get off. So let's take a look at it up close.
Okay, let's see if we can actually zoom in on that for everybody.
Yeah, and one of the things you really want to take a look at is to make sure that you haven't bridged the pads with solder. That's why we're just tapping it with the iron with a little bit of solder on it. And if you think you've bridged, get your ohm meter on here and just work on the pin side and just check to see if there's any connectivity between any of the 3 pins. There shouldn't be.
And if it looks like you haven't quite flowed enough solder on them, just come back in and give it another little touch and fix it up.
Yeah. Okay, well done, everyone. We finished up with a slightly tricky job. And on to the next
Yeah, let's put on
one.
some bigger components.